Verge, since the last time that you were in, you had just literally a TEDx speech had launched, and it has like, dude, has it caught some fire, and like it's opened tons of doors, and we're really going to get into like where you were at when all this was happening and what you've turned this into, because it's unbelievable. Okay, so talk to me about that speech, because I listened to it over and over again. It's 15 minutes ago. You got to check it out on YouTube, and it made me love fruit.
you know, when I got the word that I was going to be able to do the TED Talk, which was in March of 23.
Yeah.
I was like, wow. I always dreamed of doing a TED Talk because I was inspired by John Wooden's, and his was one of the original ones that exploded. Mm-hmm. And I love John Wooden. I think he might be the greatest coach of all time in any sport, but if he's not, he's on the Mount Rushmore. That's for right. Sure. And all I wanted to figure out was I wanted to be able to be recognized as something other than a golf teacher. The time that I spoke before my TED Talk, I'm standing off the side of the stage and I'm being introduced, and I was speaking for a law firm here in town. And as I'm being introduced, there are people sitting just in a table over here. There's like, why in the bleep did we bring a bleeping golf professional in here to talk to us? And it hit me wrong. I'm like, I can't stand to be prejudged. How do you know what I'm going to talk about? And what does me being a golf professional have anything to do with impacting anybody here at just a little bit? And so I'm like going, what can I do in my TEDx talk that separates myself? I'm not going to talk about golf. I'm going to talk about something that matters to everybody. But I also want to be able to keep it close enough to what I do that I don't have to do all this preparation to talk, because it's something that I talk about all the time. So my sister's a Marine, and she was involved in some serious conflict in Iraq and Afghanistan. Mm-hmm. And her husband is largely one of the highest ranking Marines in the world. Now they're now both out, but at the time doesn't get much higher up than he was. And I just wanted to figure out, like, what is it that y'all do to be great? And then this before I even really did the thing about the TED Talk. And then they're talking about the training and what it's like to get up in the higher level echelons of the Marine Corps. And I'm like, well, that seems awful similar to what Vince Lombardi talked about, John Wooden seemed to talk about, and then anybody else that's great. Steve Jobs, when I read his book, they're all doing the same thing. So now I'm thinking to myself, man, I can talk about what it takes to be great in a way that covers every platform without having to use the word golf or anything that I've ever done as a golf professional, and give me the opportunity to be introduced not as two-time PGA Teacher of the Year, former Golf Channel coach Virgil Herring. I get to be introduced as TEDx talker and former Golf Channel and PGA teaching professional Virgil Herring. And I'm like, that's what I want to do. So I went on a mission to create content that would be good. Now, what I realized was I got to make people laugh. I got to make people cry if I can, a little bit, because that tagging those emotions to what it is that you're doing, it gives you, it ties you to the people because you've touched them. And one of my main lines is that before you ask for somebody's hand, you got to touch their heart. If you're going to lead somebody, touch their heart before you ask for their hand. So I went about it in that way. So I came up with this thing, and I came up with an acronym. I'm big with acronyms because I'm trying to help you remember it.
Right.
And it became, what is the fruit that you will reap if you follow a championship process? You will get a P.E.A.R. And that acronym is growth mindset, which is you believe that with the proper training and the proper information, you can do whatever it is that you put your mind to. Fixed mindset is you're doomed to whatever was preordained for you and you have no control over the outcome. E is embracing the challenges of life. Whatever's coming your way, you don't really have a choice. You better embrace it. But if you can embrace it with that competitive spirit, like, I know this thing called life is a mean son of a gun, but I'm not backing down and I'm going to embrace it. The T is take action. there's a lot of people out there that say, yeah, coach, I'm ready to learn whatever it takes to be great. And I'm not afraid to embrace the challenge, but they never get off the sofa. I call them armchair quarterbacks. There's a big difference between Peyton Manning, Tom Brady, and Patrick Mahomes and the armchair quarterbacks out there, right? They got to take action. Accountability is the A. Accountability to yourself. You can't expect other people to follow along with you if you're not accountable to yourself. So if you're not accountable to yourself, you can't expect others to be accountable to you. So that was huge. So that's the base of the tree. Those are the things. The pear part, the fruit, is preparation. Now, we all know, I mean, we're both in sports since we could stand upright. You're having to prepare. But one of the things about preparing is it's not so much just about what it is that you want to occur, but you're learning how to have multiple game plans in your preparation. Execution. How are you going to execute it? So you have to be training. You have to be strong enough to do what you're trying to do, build the endurance that you got to do it with, all of those things, both physically and mentally. But in my opinion, the thing that separates the elite from the very good and the very good from the good is adaptability. If you can handle the fact that whoever you're trying to take down, whatever it is, whether it's a person or something that's inanimate, you're trying to become victorious over something. I can promise you that person or thing doesn't want to lose either. So it's going to try to take away your strengths. So adaptability in if I'm thinking of I love to pitch. I might have been better at pitching than I was anything in my life.
Okay.
I was known I had a really good fastball, especially for my age, and I threw a really hard to hit curveball, one that rolls off the table. So what are people going to try to do? They're going to try to get me behind in the count so that they know they're going to get the fastball. So my game plan was to get up in the count. Well, if I have to guarantee that I have the control to throw strikes early in it. But what if they start to hit me hard and I got to go from the stretch where I probably lose about 2 miles per hour on my fastball? So the ability to start the batter off with a curveball when they're expecting heat, or to work on that third pitch, which is something like more of a change up, a 3-fingered pitch, where my arm speed looks the same, but the ball's sitting deeper in my hand and it comes out just a little bit slower. And then knowing that when I get up in the count, they're expecting the curveball that's really hard to hit and not throw it to them. Layers of adaptability, because they're trying to take away what you do well. So if you're going to do that, then what's your next plan? And then, okay, now that they see that you've adapted, what are they going to do and be ahead of that? And then what are they going to do and be ahead of that? And I try to put in as many layers of adaptability so that I am less affected emotionally by my best attempts being thwarted, to have multiple game plans so that I'm less emotional, because almost every bad decision we make in our life is due to emotion. So I try to be on top of my game so that I sense I see what you're trying to do. You're trying to take away my curveball. Well, then I'm going to do this. And so that's how I went about my life, because that's the first thing that I was great at. So then I just drew parallels in everything that I do with as much adaptability as possible. And then the R is relentless resiliency. It's almost like an R squared. But the resiliency is so critical, because life is going to hit you hard more than once. But if it didn't kill you, you just got to be able to get up off the mat.
Let's go.
And that's not easy. And I can tell you that I've been through plenty. And sometimes getting up off the mat felt harder than just laying there, because it felt like I had been beaten. But I got back up. And just when I thought that there was no hope left, there was a whole another level of beauty that was coming into my life. I just didn't know when I was going through it, but I knew that I wasn't going to give up. And that's of all the things that I would say that I'm proud of myself for, is I went through about a 2.5-year stretch, 3-year stretch, where I had so much bad occur that I was actually starting to question my confidence, because every single thing that I was doing with the best intentions that I could ever put into something was failing every single time. And I'm just like, what am I supposed to be learning here? Because the only constant in all of these things is me.
Let's go.
I'm the person that's involved in it. Now, there's a lot of things that happen to me that I didn't do anything to get it, but it happened. So what am I doing I'm in this position? How am I drawing this to me? Am I drawing it? Is it a random occurrence? But golly, 3 years in a row of it? Maybe I need to pay close attention to what I'm doing. I know there's a lot of bad things happening that don't have me in it, but it's happening and I'm part of it. What am I doing? And I just went on a deep search of me. I can't control others. I can't control what other people do to me, but I can control how I respond. And I've gotten better at responding because I used to get emotional. I used to take it too personal.
That would be a reaction versus a response, right?
Yeah, that's right. And now I'm getting better at taking it less personal and getting better at seeing it for what it is and quickly adapting and moving forward. Just keep moving forward. Even if I only move forward an inch today, it's better than not.
Come on. That's right.
And to me, that's what my TED Talk did for me in the preparation phase, which was I was preparing myself to do something bigger than golf, knowing that golf was going to play a role in it, but being bigger than golf. And I knew that I needed something to focus on while I was going through hell. Something that was productive and powerful and meaningful, that I knew that I was gonna speak in front of a bunch of people. And if I impacted one person's life, that made all the hell that I had been just through worth it. And that was easier said than done. But at the end of the day, that's probably the most important thing that has happened to me in the last 20 years.
Well, I got to say, when I met you, you were going through this and I didn't know, because you didn't that was your job. Like, it didn't spill out into the business world. It was so impressive once I learned that, and I look back, I'm like, man, like what a pro at life, at just understanding that, like, what we were doing together at that time, you didn't let your big problems interfere with what we were doing, and you definitely didn't let them become my problems. Yeah. So I learned a lot by doing that. But then, like, check this out, man. So it was a rough patch for sure. One that, like, it even put things in perspective that I thought were rough that I was going through. Okay. But this is how timing and everything works out, and why you're such a great example of that resilience and adaptability. Because, like, even then, like, you leveraged everything that you're doing today, which we're about to really get into, from that TED Talk. And it ain't like you cut it, you crushed it, and you were the first one that came out. So, like, even then, even just waiting on it to air so that these things that you're waiting on to happen can start to come into fruition. Like, I want people to understand how this works. So I don't know how many people filmed a TED Talk in that class.
16.
16. And where did yours come out in that order?
15.
15. So, and how often do they come out, by the way?
I mean, usually, like the one that just happened, that was TEDx Old Hickory, right? They were out within 15 days. Yeah. I spoke in late July, and mine didn't come out until December, like 8th or 9th.
Yeah, that's it.
And I was losing my mind because I knew my content was amazing. So many people were, like, waiting to see it, to, like, give me the opportunities that I was asking for. And they're like, and this is what got held up. This is so crazy. One of the rules of TEDx is that you can't do anything to self-promote while you're speaking. If you can believe this, I got flagged and was put on delay for 15 weeks because I said, we are on the verge of. Oh, wow. And, like, you can't do that because that's promoting your podcast. I'm like, hold on a second, for crying out loud. That's VERGE.
There it is.
Right? Our country's on the verge of a systemic issue, not we're on my podcast on the verge. And they literally flagged it for 15 weeks until they let it slide. And what they did, they deleted it. They just took those 3 words, they just took it out. I'm like, that's insanity. But I bet at the end of the day, that didn't make my talk. Other things did. And it literally catapulted me into a place that I've always dreamed of being, not knowing that was going to be the impetus for it.